What's up, fiends? Welcome to Chat with the Bat with Alucard. I am Alucard, and today we have a very special guest, actor, voiceover artist, and tea connoisseur, Amanda Winston. How are
Hello.
you, Amanda?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So let's start at the beginning. So what brought you into acting?
Uh, Honestly, it's been most of my life. I started in preschool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And originally where it came from was looking, for extracurriculars for getting the kids out of the house kind of thing. But I was a very loud and bossy kid. And my parents were like, maybe theater is for you. And so, yeah, they put me in I think the first thing I did was like a circus play, and they made me the ringmaster of the circus. And I was like, this is awesome. Let's keep doing this. And it's been my bag ever since. So,
That's awesome. So you've acted on the stage quite a bit as well.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so do you find it difficult like switching like actor mode from theater to movies?
It's There's definitely some differences. Like it gets tricky at times, but I find that the approach is the same as far as like just finding the truth in the character and understanding their motivations and their background and all that stuff. The externalization of it is a little different. Sometimes you're doing theater stuff and you've got a huge audience where you have to get to the back row.
Right.
And then the camera's right here, so it's a different size of performance, but it still has to be truthful, or the audience is going to know, and it's not going to be as interesting.
Right. Well, that's actually one of the things I really like about you is that everything I've seen you in so far, you bring realism to your roles,
Thank
and
you.
I just dig that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. So
Yeah,
thank
yeah. Well, it's working, so keep it on.
you. Awesome.
So what draws you into certain projects? Like what do you look for?
I try to look for, particularly for roles I'm going out for, characters that have some kind of depth to them. I'm not a big fan of playing, the perpetual victim or ingenue that doesn't have a whole lot going on.
Hmm.
I love complicated, messy, weird characters. So if you've got a story that, gives me something to chew on and like is doing something I haven't seen a million times over, then like I'm super interested.
Awesome. Yeah, and we're gonna dive into some of your movies and stuff in a little bit. Don't worry.
Cool.
I do have a kind of a strange question for you
Okay.
to start off. Okay, so let me preface this by saying that I love tattoos. They're amazing works of art, and you have a pretty badass one on your arm.
I
So
do.
what's the story behind that?
All right. Well, here's the tattoo.
There you go.
And the idea behind this, it was a birthday present to myself. And I always wanted a tattoo, and I just had kind of overthought it for years. And this one for me, it's sort of representation of staying creative and continuing to sort of look to the stars. My favorite artist is Alphonse Mucha, so it's Art Nouveau inspired, and it's got some space elements and things.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a general idea. I've collected a couple more tattoos since then, and
There you go.
might keep growing the collection, but we'll see.
You never know, right?
Hmm.
So I've actually talked to a couple of other actors that have claimed that uh, tattoos can be a hindrance on getting roles. Have you run into any of that?
Um, I would say most of the time, the reaction from the kind of projects I'm going out for is that they're really into the tattoos and think they're cool. Um, but the few times that it's come up is when I'm doing like more commercial work. And
Right.
they're always worried about, the image and stuff, so then they have to cover it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, for more creative narrative type stuff, like it really hasn't come up as an issue. Um, I think for me at the end of the day, like I worried about that. I was like, is this going to hurt my chances for certain roles? And it might for some things, but I think for me, it was just something I really wanted for myself. And that was most important to me, to just, kind of be myself and
Yeah.
we only get one life, so I might as well have fun and do what I want, you know?
There you go. That's perfectly said. I love it.
Thank you.
All right, so let's delve a little bit into your horror work, I guess you could say. So where did your love of horror begin?
It's a great question. I honestly am not sure how it started. But it really started picking up more in like high school, like end of high school into college.
Hmm.
Probably when I was like old enough to actually go to the horror movies and
And
not
I
be
think
like
I'm right.
looking through my eyes, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just find them really thrilling. I love the suspense and getting scared and all of that, and then getting on the movie making side of it, getting to actually be in the movies themselves is such a fun time. It's so much fun to do horror movies. I mean, sometimes they're gross and sticky and cold and whatever, but it's so much fun to do.
Oh
So
yeah, that I
yeah.
mean that's always like my first choice. I would be like, what movie you want to do? I want to do a horror movie. I'm like, that's gonna be
Hmm.
the most fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so what type of horror films do you actually like?
So I've got sort of a twofold answer to this. One is
Okay.
that like if I want to actually be scared, it needs to be a movie where it could happen in real life. So a
Right.
movie like The Strangers, for example, scared the ever loving shit out of me. I thought that movie was horrifying. Um, but like the ones that I tend to be drawn to that just like really really enjoy are the ones that have some like suspense kind of thriller element to
Hmm.
them. um I do have a deep-seated love for 80s like campy horror films. The
Yes.
shittier the better. Like it's, and I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Bob's Drive-In
Oh yeah,
on
big time.
Shudder. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got introduced to that by my sister-in-law and her husband, and they it's such a fun program. It's introduced me to so many films I didn't know existed and
Hmm.
like broadened my horizons and what horror can be. And it's been really fun to explore through all the different things that they show each week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I've definitely they've introduced me to quite a few as well, and
Yeah.
as you can probably see, I have a bunch
You have quite the
already.
collection, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
All right. So I was introduced to you through the film Evil Lurks, thanks to my good pal Bill D. Russell. And he was
Love
like,
Bill.
"Hey, I have a new movie that I was a part of. It's on Tubi. Go check it out." I was like, "All right, I'll go check it out." And I was pleasantly surprised in how much I enjoyed it. Um, and I think in large part because of your performance, and
Oh,
it's
thank you.
like your character, despite all the crazy shit she's going through, is very relatable still. And there were even a couple of times where I was just kind of like, you know what, that would exactly be my reaction.
Mm.
So what can you tell us about working on Evil Lurks?
Yeah, it was a really interesting experience. It's my one of my first like full like feature length films that I've really done just at this sort of level. I've done some smaller ones in Indiana, that's where I'm from. But I've been in Chicago for the last like 12 years. And so this was kind of like a big one for me, particularly as a lead. It's definitely the first time I've had a lead in a feature like this. Um and the process was kind of slow. We were doing it on an indie budget on weekends when
Hmm.
people were available.
Yeah, been there.
And just doing
Yep.
our best with what we've got. We had a really cool team. Aaron and Chris really just made sure everybody was taken care of. What was interesting with it is that so much of what ended up in the film I couldn't picture because like so much of the edit with like the effects and the like the filters and the music and everything like I think really makes the film like pop and like what it is. I think without all of those pieces being so cohesive, it wouldn't be as good of a film. And a
Hmm.
lot of that's owed to Chris Shern. He was shooting to the edit, like he knew in his head how he wanted this to look and feel. And I really didn't fully understand it until I saw the final product, and I was like, "Oh, this is what we were doing." Okay.
Right, right, right.
Um, so it was a cool surprise to see the film myself because I really didn't know what it was going to be in the end. I mean, I knew the story we shot, but how it was going to actually, pan out and look was kind of a surprise, which was cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And then I also liked You and Chris in particular in that movie, y'all were so, it was so like an awkward relationship, but yet it totally worked.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
strange because
Chris did a
you're just
great
like going
job.
back and forth, and it's just so weird. It's great.
Chris always likes to say he's not an actor, but he is. He's very good. So
Yeah,
I thought he did a
yeah,
great job.
and he did a great job on the music too. Like the music added
Yeah.
this like creepy level to the whole thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Absolutely.
So they said I saw that on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think of the channels like Tubi and Plex and all that stuff? Do you think it helps the films
I
or
think
what?
it does. I mean, back when I was making my little shorts and features in like college and stuff, there really weren't as many avenues and platforms. So people are, going to the conventions and selling their DVDs, trying to get like
Right.
anybody interested. And that only gets you so far. So, there are the last like review we got was from a guy in Germany. And I'm like, my movie would have never made it to Germany back in, 2007 or whatever. So
Right.
I think it's great to expand the audiences, and I found some stuff on Tubi that I don't know that I would have found otherwise, that are cool movies that deserve to get seen. So I think it's great. I'm all about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I do a semi-weekly show where I find a movie on Tubi, I watch it, and then I talk about it.
Yeah, Tubi Terrors, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Tubi Terror, you got it. Yeah, so I'm trying to spread the love of Tubi and all these what they call fast channels. Yeah, yeah, very cool. So also on Evil Lurks, you also got to work with your lovely husband Jonah.
I did, yes.
So do you find that there's more pressure on you when you're working with him, or does it make it easier for you?
Honestly, it's easy. He's an actor too, and we've both been doing it for so long that like because we have an existing chemistry and relationship and kind of know each other's,
Right.
subtext and stuff, it's just easy to kind of jump in together and really play and kind of get a vibe for what the other person's going to do. So it's really fun for me. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured just by seeing y'all together on screen. I was like I can tell these guys are having fun.
Oh yeah.
So in the movie, for those that haven't seen it, you and him have a very intense relationship. So was it difficult for you guys to like fight and be combative and have this like weird relationship that I'm sure you don't have?
Right. No, yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
have not gone through the same sort of traumatic experiences
Yeah.
that they go through in the movie. Um, it was I always approach those kind of scenes as just kind of like something fun to do. I know it's like serious, hard stuff, but I approach it from a sense of play and a sense of like wanting to do as much justice to like the scene and like if this were actually happening.
Right.
I think we both do a good job of sort of divorcing ourselves, of like this is reality and this is, acting and we know the difference. And so because that's a safe distance, we can play and do what we need to do to do good performance. So yeah, I think it would be harder if like we weren't both actors. Like we were like, yeah, be in the movie.
Right.
It might be a little more weird, but I think just because we both have so much experience, it's just easy.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So you're obviously also not afraid to be bloody and whatnot in these movies.
Oh yeah.
I've seen you covered on more than one occasion. So do you like working with the makeup effects and whatnot, or?
I do. I think it's so cool.
It really
Like
is,
if
isn't it?
I can get a really gross, gory death or mauling or something, like please sign me up. I am ready to go. A lot of times those take a lot of time and like it can be messy and gross, but when you finally get to see it like on film, it's so cool. Yeah. All about it. There's a film that I did last summer called Tin Roof that should hopefully be coming out this year, maybe next year. I'm wearing our Camp Cedar Falls shirt because it was
There
a
you go.
summer camp slasher. But that one we had a whole bunch of special effects. We had Joe Castro on that one for us, who's a really great special effects artist. And so I got to see him work his magic and like he got to do some really cool little prosthetic things on me. And it was so cool to watch him like problem solve in the moment and figure out how to make things cool and like work and like squirt blood and like do it, and like make it work for the shot. So I'm fascinated by that stuff. I think it's such a cool, what's the word? It's a cool to do the practical effects, you know, like
Oh yeah.
I love anything practical. Like I want to do the practical stuff. Less
And
CGI, the better.
oh yeah, and it's so amazing how these guys just come out with this stuff like
Yeah.
out of nowhere, and it's like, what? It's
Incredible.
amazing. So is there a type of horror film that you haven't done yet that you'd like to do?
Ooh, well, that's a great question. Type of horror film I haven't done yet. Trying to think. I've done a slasher now, and I've done art house. You know, I would love to do something more in the sci-fi thriller realm. I love those movies. You know, stuff like Alien.
Right.
We watched a weird one the other night. I think it's called Horizon, or Horizon. I forget what it was called. But outer space in horror is fun. I want to do something in outer space.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, they don't, I don't know, they don't make a whole lot of those either. Not
No,
anymore.
there
Yeah.
should be more.
They really should. They really
They
should.
tend to get more in like the disaster movie realm, like Moonfall, like that kind of stuff, which
Yeah.
are also fun. But yeah.
So I've even heard I've even heard the label of Scream Queen tossed around your name. So is
I
that
would
something
love.
you would embrace?
Yes, absolutely, wholeheartedly.
There you
If
go.
I can get, you know, to be Scream Queen, like absolute goals. So all about it.
You're definitely on your way. That's for sure. All right, let's I want to change subject a little bit here.
Yeah.
How did you develop your love of tea?
My love of tea.
Because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I have to ask you about tea.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, it stemmed mostly from a job. I moved to Chicago and, you know, was working in restaurants for a bit. And a buddy of mine opened a tea shop in downtown Chicago and was hiring. And I was like, yeah, I like tea. I don't know. So he hired me, and through that job, I learned that tea is not just Lipton tea bags. It's like a whole world of teas and herbs and all kinds of crazy things you can do. So it really kind of just like opened a door for me. So now, like, if anybody asks about tea, I do way too much information, and they're like, we really didn't need to know the history of, you know, oolong tea in China, but thank you.
Love it. So what's your favorite tea?
Probably a tea called Jasmine Silver Needle. It's a jasmine scented white tea. It's very fragrant, very you know, mild. But it depends on the mood. There's a tea for every occasion. So
That is very true. There's like a gazillion of them.
yeah. Do you like tea? Do you drink tea?
I used to until it started giving me problems sleeping.
Ah,
So I kind of stay away from the tea now. But
there.
yeah, I used to drink tea quite a bit. Yeah, I was a big Earl Grey guy
Sure.
for a long
Yeah.
time.
Classic.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So I know a few viewers will be interested in this question. How did you get involved in doing voiceovers?
Oh. Part of it was wanting to branch out creatively. I got my start doing theater. And that was sort of my primary focus for a very long time. And through theater auditions, occasionally voiceover auditions would come up. And so, you know, I'd try it out, try some voices, that sort of thing. And then it just kind of evolved. I got more, you know, just getting more and more auditions, and occasionally booking things just became sort of part of what I do. These days with, you know, acting, it's hard to do just one thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I do theater when I can. I do voiceover, film, commercials. I do a lot of industrials, whatever kind of work comes my way. I do really enjoy voiceover though, because I get to do it in my pajamas at home if I want to.
Right.
Which is always nice. And it's fun to like kind of play with your voice and manipulate, you know, the sounds and the accents and things. You can kind of get creative with it. But yeah, my husband's actually more of a voiceover guy than I am. He does more like crazy voices and commercial stuff. Most of my stuff ended up being like industrial type work. Although I did do a couple audiobooks for a historical romance drama series. So
Hey, there you go. Okay.
there you
That's
go.
cool. That's cool. Have you seen the film In a World.
In a World. Oh, it's
About the
about the movie
voiceover?
trailer guy, right? I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. It's like about the world of voiceover and stuff, and it's
Hmm.
highly recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, I have to check that out.
So, do you have a certain mindset that you have to get into to do different voices and different accents and whatnot?
Definitely. Particularly for accents, if it's one that I've done before, I usually have like a key phrase that like it'll get me into that accent, you know. So like
Hmm.
if I need to do like British, I was like a lot of better writers write a lot of little words. Like that one like gets me into the feel of it. Um if it's one I'm not familiar with, it's usually just going into I've got like a some audio tapes and books and things of different accents of like learning the phonetics of
Hmm.
what that accent's supposed to be. Um but
So,
yeah, for like, yeah, go ahead.
do you pick it up by ear? Like, is that something you can do?
It's mostly by ear. Yeah, yeah, and just repetition. Just sounding it
Yeah.
out and trying to figure it out that way.
Okay.
I pick up accents fairly easily. It takes me a little bit, but I'll get there usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I have a lot of goofy vocal warm ups. I do, you know. It's your instrument, right? So you gotta, do your lip
there you go.
trills and
One
your
more.
tongue stretches and like, getting all your resonators opened up. So.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, my wife always cracks me up because when we go, I live down, in the kind of like the New Orleans area, but I'm not far from like the country. So like when we go out to the country and we hear all the accents, my wife suddenly starts talking with like a country accent, and it just
Mhm.
cracks me up. I love it.
Mhm. Same thing happens to me when I go home. I'm from Indiana, and my family is what I like to call Indiana South. So it
Mm,
gets a little twangy, get a little, get a little down here.
nice.
But yeah, it comes out a lot when I visit my parents.
So what do you have? What do you have? Like you said, you have Tin Roof. Do you have anything else coming up?
Aside from Tin Roof, I've been helping out with both acting in and assistant directing and soon to be directing some episodes of a web series. It is
Oh,
very niche. It is a Dungeons and Dragons public service announcement, like satirical web series. So
okay.
yeah, it's a series my buddy did back in college, like 15 years ago, and has brought it back now. And so I've got a character on it, Sunlight the Dryad. It's my character. But then I've been interested in creating my own content and wanting to, write and do some directing and sort of that sort of thing. And so my friend Wes, who's the guy who's created this series, it's called Creative Juices the Seventh, is the name of the company. Check him out on YouTube. um, but he was kind enough to let me try my hand at assistant directing a few of the episodes, or a few of the segments of the episodes, and we're going to be doing a mini series, sort of an offshoot of the same series this fall, where I'll get to fully direct the sort of 6 episode package. So I'm really excited. We'll see how it goes. But
That's
as I
awesome.
mentioned earlier, I've got a bossy streak, so directing is is in my
It's in your
wheelhouse.
wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I did receive an anonymous question for you
Oh,
from
okay.
from a fan. Um, you on Evil Lurks, you worked with the lovely the lovely and talented Bill Russell.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so what was it like working with a bona fide madman?
It was madness.
Yeah,
No, Bill's hilarious.
he
This is the first
really
time
is.
I've worked with him, and his character, you've seen the movie. For those who haven't, he's an interesting character. And he just fully committed to it. He just went so hard, and it was great and funny and weird, and it was really fun to watch. Bill does awesome characters, so I'm down to
He,
see anything he does.
yeah. He's something else. That guy. He really is. So then you've always wanted to act, pretty much since you were little, right?
Yeah, it's always kind of been my North Star. Throughout school, it was always doing plays. Indiana didn't have a whole lot of opportunity outside of doing school plays and after school activities and that sort of thing as far as
Right.
acting goes. But yeah, that's always been the thing. I went to school for acting and theater, moved to Chicago to pursue theater and acting, and still going strong.
There you go. And I've seen that you've done. You were in a production of The Trouble with Angels.
Trouble with Angels. I'm trying to remember what that was. That was the
It says Dream Theater Company.
Oh, Dream Theater. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a little storefront theater production. They did a lot of horror based theater, which was a fun marriage of the two things, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was like a devised piece. Yeah. Did you know something about that, or did you see it or something?
No. I just saw that it was The Trouble with Angels, and like I'm a fan of like the movie, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it had nothing to do with the movie. It was completely
Okay.
unrelated.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, they did a lot of sort of immersive horror theater experience type stuff. So that was
Yeah.
kind of
So you've done like kind of like experimental theater, kind of, right? So tell us a little bit about that. Like, tell us like what's that like?
Yeah. Well, so the college I went to, Butler University, their program at the time for theater was very heavily into the more experimental Eastern European style of theater. So what that turns into is a lot of what's called devised theater, where you're kind of making it up as you go. Like there's a skeleton of an idea, and then the ensemble sort of builds the show together and forms a script together. So it can be really gratifying, especially when like you feel like you've all created this beast together. But also really anxiety inducing of like, I don't know if it's going to be good. We just kind of made all this up and hopefully it makes sense and people like it. But it's experimental kind of theater is funny because it is a lot of that woo-woo stuff that people make fun of us for. It's a lot of like physical theater exercises with each other and like, rolling around on the ground and like humming and like that kind of goofy stuff. There is a purpose behind all of it, but it looks ridiculous and sometimes feels ridiculous. But it does make for some very interesting theater and stuff that we may not have seen a million times over, which is, I think, a lot of the drive behind people wanting to do more experimental theater. It's something new,
Right. So is there like a lot of improv and stuff involved with that?
The improv is during the rehearsal process where we're sort of creating the thing, if it's devised theater. But once there's a certain point where you're like, okay, the show is now set in stone. We're done sort of creating the content of the show. We've decided what it is, and now we're going to rehearse that. So yeah, I mean, not to say that every show is like that. I'm certain there are shows out there that have some improvised elements or are designed that way, but for the most part, they usually don't.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, let's see. I've watched 3 movies of yours on Tubi, and let's see, 3 short films on YouTube, and a concept trailer of one called The Alexis Project.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like that sci-fi stuff you were talking about earlier. So has there been any progress on that? Because that seemed really cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool concept. That was Jeremy Applebaum, who was the DP for Evil Lurks. That was a project of his. I don't know if he has any plans to turn it into a full feature. He developed it for a contest, I believe, was the purpose for it. Just enter some festivals and just get some practice and try out some new different techniques and things. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. There was a cut scene where I was dragging an axe behind me that I was really sad got cut. But I was like, come on, Jimmy with the axe. It's so cool.
Nice. And then you were also a part of the 48 Hour Film Festival back in 2019. And y'all did a short called The Inheritance, which is on YouTube. I'm going to have all these links in the description box below, by the way, folks. So go ahead and check them all out.
Thank you.
So I am also a survivor of the 48 Hour Film Festival.
Survivor is a great word for it.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that and how crazy that gets, because that was 2 days I think I'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean it's pure chaos.
It is. Yeah.
It was definitely fun. I'm glad I did it. I met a lot of really cool people that I still talk to, and a few of them that I still work with occasionally.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean the process of trying to throw together a script and shoot the whole thing in 48 hours is absurd, and it's nuts. I think that we do it every year in so
All
many
right.
different cities and places, and some of the ones I've seen people crank out are incredible. I'm just shocked at what people are able to do in that short period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, ours was very chaotic, and I don't know that the end product really made all that much sense, but we had fun doing it. So
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. Yeah. I remember when we did it, we kind of had an idea going into
Mhm.
it. It's like, all right, let's just work off of that, whatever they throw at us, and it ended up being kind of okay. But yeah, it's yeah.
The prize at the 48-hour film fest is, did you finish the film? You did it. Good
Yeah,
job.
if you finish it and they show it, like you awesome.
Hmm.
Anything you'd like to discuss or talk about?
I think I'll just mention as far as future projects coming up. I neglected to mention so Chris Shern, that was one of the key makers of Evil Lurks. He and I have been talking a lot, and are hopefully doing a film in the very near future. He hasn't made any official announcements yet, so I won't say what's any specifics. But
Yeah,
I've seen the script and it's really cool. It is once again in the horror genre, and yeah, I'm just excited to work with him again. And it's one of those things where I feel like I've found a collaborator. So like I've been sharing like scripts that I've been writing with them and stuff, and it's just cool to find people that you enjoy working with and want to like repeat like that.
yeah.
So yeah, hopefully something will come out soon with Chris and I with another feature. I may also be appearing in one of his music videos down the road,
There you go.
so that'll be very fun. But yeah, that and Tin Roof, which I'm very excited about. So Tin Roof is
Yeah.
a camp slasher, but it's adults going back to save their camp, the Camp Cedar Falls, that has been beset by random tragedies over the years. And so they're going to try and advertise for the camp and get people excited about it and raise some money for it and do like a GoFundMe to bring the camp back.
All right. Okay.
But there's a reason there have been tragedies at the camp, and so a slasher ensues. But it's really cool. It's written by Rob Mello, who was the babyface killer in Happy Death Day. So he's a cool guy. He's a real character. But him and Rebecca Reinhart is the director who did The Embalmers, which is also on Tubi. Definitely recommend checking that out. Rob was also in that. She's the director for this one. So, and she's been in a whole bunch of like crazy horror movies, shorts, festivals, things. Like she's like all over the scene. So
Yeah, I've definitely seen her name pop up quite a bit in the past few
yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So very
cool.
excited for that one. When it premieres, I'll definitely be getting the word out for sure. So
And are you the lead in that one?
it's sort of an
Or one
ensemble
of
one.
them?
So I'm part of the main ensemble of sort of like
Okay.
I think 5 sort of campers that go back to try and like revive the camp.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha. And then, who's your favorite slasher? Do you have one?
It's so hard to pick favorites. I have to pick a franchise. I can't pick one. But probably the Friday the 13th franchise would be my favorite. I know it's like a, cliche answer, I guess, but it's just so fun.
They are. They're all fun. They're all goofy. It's just
Yeah.
you put them on and have a good time.
They progressively get more ridiculous and more nonsensical.
Come on, Jason in
Jason in
space. Come on.
Space. Yeah. People
Exactly.
hate on that movie, but I love it because of how bad it is. Like it's so dumb.
It is, but it's fun.
But it's fun. I'm having fun, and like we're good,
Yeah,
So
I mean
yeah,
that's all you can
Friday
ask
the
for,
13th is
right?
probably my favorite. I do love the Halloween franchise also. And we recently did a marathon on Nightmare on Elm Street. My husband and I just like to like check out horror movies, so we'll just like do marathons of like things we haven't seen before and just try and like get caught up because the canon is so deep of movies to watch. It's like you'll never see them all.
Right.
Just trying to like consume as much as I can.
Right. Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
Check out Amanda. I'm going to leave all of her links in the description box below, so please check her out. And until next time, adios, Bella Lugosi.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.